senior officers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second segment of today's activity for the RSM Convention 2016. Next in our program is a presentation titled Impact of Personnel Welfare on Professional Responsiveness. Distinguished guests, the next presenter needs no introduction. This is due to the fact that as a major policy maker of the Nigerian Army, he has direct influence on the do's and don'ts in our respective units and formations. However, for the sake of those who never had the privilege of meeting the senior officer, permit me to read the abridged version of his curriculum vitae before I invite him to the podium to present his lecture. Maj Gen AB Abubakar was born on the 5th of October 1962 at Funtua local government area of Katsina State. He was commissioned into the Nigerian Army on the 22nd of December 1984. The senior officer has attended several military courses and bagged several awards of honor. Among the military courses attended are the Young Officers Course Infantry, the Military Police Officers Basic Course, Company Commanders Course Infantry, Battalion Commanders Course Military Police, Command and Staff College Jaji, and War College, Cairo, Egypt. His military qualifications include Nigerian Defense Academy Certificate of Education, past junior staff course, and past senior staff course, judged respectively. Finally, he's a fellow, War College of Egypt. The senior officer holds several appointments in the course of his career. Among them are the Chief Instructor of the Nigerian Army School of Military Police, Zaria, the Commander, 3 Division Provost Group, Jos, Commander, Army Headquarters Provost Group, Commander, Special Investigation Bureau, Staff Officer, Grade 1, UNAMSIL, and Chief of Staff, Nigerian Army Corps of Military Police. The senior officer also held the command as a commandant in Nigerian Army School of Military Police. He was also the Director, Transformation at the Defense Headquarters here in Abuja. He is also the Director, Personnel Service, Army Headquarters here in Abuja, before his current appointment as the Chief of Administration of the Nigerian Army. The very senior officer holds or earned the following decorations and honors. He was awarded the General Service Star, the Past Staff Course. He is also, as I mentioned earlier, a fellow of the Egyptian War College. At his leisure time, The senior officer enjoys reading and playing golf. Distinguished senior officers, participants, may I have the singular honor and privilege to invite our resource person to the podium to give his lecture titled The Impact of Personnel Welfare on Professional Responsiveness. Put your hands together for the resource person, please.
Once again, good morning to you all. Good morning. Representative of principal staff officers, senior officers, participants of the RSM Convention 2016, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start, let me ask a question. If any one of us have seen this book before, have we all seen it before? Yes, sir. So that means we all know the content of this book. No. You have never seen this book? Yes, sir. Okay, this book contains everything that is accrued to you in service and even in debt. I will employ each and every one of you to take time. It is there in all the units. And now see that the major complaint that we are having is because we have not read this book. This was the last, this book was updated 2015, and the last document, the last chief ascended to before he left the office, and which has been the Bible for the youth as the administrative policy and procedures of the Nigerian Army. Today we are going to talk about the impact of personnel welfare on professional responsiveness. This lecture is going to be open to you all. We'll talk in two groups. The first is what you should have while in service. And again, what the Army is doing for those that paid the supreme sacrifice. I'll read some and I will explain a lot to you all. Organizations worldwide are usually established to achieve specific goals and objectives. The attainment of these goals to a large extent depends on training, expertise, and motivation of the employee through good welfare packages. We all know Section 217, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended clearly states the roles of the armed forces, in which is primarily to defend Nigeria against external aggression as well as maintaining its territorial integrity. This role can be achieved through the maintenance of a highly trained, professional, versatile, combat-ready, and well-motivated force. The creation of a conducive working environment in order to attain the organizational and individual goals remain the focus of the Nigerian Army today. The Nigerian Army has adopted a number of strategies and policies aimed at maintaining, rewarding, and improving its human resources. These strategies and policies impact positively on troops' morale. Morale deals with conditions and processes that account for motivation, direction, magnitude, and maintenance of efforts in a person's job. It sustains and regulates behavior. Morale is the confidence, enthusiasm, and discipline of a person or group at a peculiar time. hence it may be correct, to state that professional competence and high productivity are products of high morale which could be achieved through good welfare schemes. Welfare schemes vary from one profession to the other, not only in content, but in its application. The Nigerian Army has over time introduced and still introducing various welfare packages in order to meet its moral component strategy, which will produce a well-focused, responsive, motivated troops to win all battles, as well as render aid to civil authority in quelling all forms of insecurity as encapsulated in the Corps' vision, which is to have a professionally responsive Nigerian Army in the discharge of its constitutional roles. Welfare policies in the Nigerian Army are formulated to achieve a state where Nigerian Army personnel are motivated to put in their best in all assigned tasks. General Charles de Gaulle once wrote, and I quote, "When men who adopt the profession of arms submit of their own free will to law of perpetual constraint of their own accord, they reject the right to live where they choose, to say what they think, or to dress as they like," unquote. A soldier is ever prepared to pay the supreme price for his country. This patriotic act requires concerted effort by the nation to win and trust the confidence of the soldier. The satisfaction which comes from this awareness creates a strong desire to defend one's nation, which will translate and could enhance professional responsiveness in the Nigerian Army. Good welfare factors, good welfare system are factors for the extraordinary achievement of the advanced armed forces like those of the United States of America, Britain, France, and Germany. This was demonstrated in the First and Second World War, and of course, the Gulf War I and II. On the other hand, poor welfare condition breeds disloyalty, indiscipline, ineptitude, erosion of professionalism, and criminality, among others. It further demoralizes and ill-motivates personnel. General Moshe Dayan, an Israeli military commander, described the effect of poor welfare on an officer like, I quote, "a corpse wrapped with golden casket and interred with silver guard," unquote. The various welfare packages provided for the Nigerian Army personnel are encouraging. However, this lecture will discuss the impact of professional welfare, personnel welfare or professional responsiveness in the Nigerian Army. The lecture will discuss the concept of welfare, the various personnel welfare schemes in the Nigerian Army. Furthermore, the impact of welfare schemes on professional responsiveness will be highlighted. The aim of this lecture, therefore, is to discuss the impact of personnel welfare on the professional responsiveness in the Nigerian Army with a view to broaden the knowledge of all the participants of the RSM Convention 2016. To achieve this, I shall start with the concept of welfare, professional and responsiveness. Then go to welfare schemes in the Nigerian Army, the impact of welfare schemes on professional responsiveness, and I will end it with a way forward. Now let's start with the concept of welfare. The concise Oxford Dictionary defines welfare as action or procedure designed to promote the basic physical and material well-being of a people. Welfare can also be described as the state of doing well, enjoyment of prosperity, health, and freedom from want. Welfare in this context stands for the physical, social, and financial well-being of a person. That is the physical, social, and financial conditions under which somebody may live or work satisfactorily. It could also mean the health, happiness, and fortune of a group of people or persons. It keeps people from personal worries and puts them in the right frame of mind to carry out the responsibility, and serves as a link between the leader and the followers as mutual friendship and respect. The primary concern of welfare is the care of the man. Welfare is the condition of having good health, comfortable living and working conditions. This also includes long service grant, legal advice, consultation about individual domestic problems, and assistance with accommodation and transportation. Bryson posits that personnel welfare includes those benefits that accrue to wage and salaries earned over and above their pay. Include those referred as fringe benefits. For example, in Britain, such benefits include private pension scheme, paid holiday, sick pay, death benefit, subsidized meals, company car, traveling seasons ticket. This lecture therefore agrees with Bryson on the definition of personnel welfare as fringe benefits to employees in addition to their salaries. In this lecture also, welfare is seen as services within and outside the salary provided by an organization to its workers, so as to eliminate their problem or help them attain their personal needs. All these actions are to make the workers happy, motivate for higher productivity. Anything that is to make a worker happy is regarded as a motivation. Welfare incentives in the armed forces are viewed from two perspectives. These are measures taken by the government to motivate military personnel while in service, and provision made by government to enable retired personnel live a fairly comfortable civil life. Therefore, the current welfare incentives available in the Nigerian Army will be examined in order to articulate the department provision of personnel welfare services that enable our troops to attain professional responsiveness. Let's have a look at the concept of professional. The word professional is of common usage in the society. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines a professional as relating to or characteristics of a profession. It's also viewed as someone who does a job that requires special training, education, or skill. Someone who is a member of a profession. It furthermore defines a profession as having a particular profession as a permanent career, and gave an example of a professional soldier. Functionally, a professional fulfills the purpose for which the society seeks to use him. He must therefore focus on the overall effectiveness to develop capabilities to fulfill societal needs and expectation of him. Ethically, he seeks at each level of development to do his duty, including providing leadership when needed. This enables him to establish norms of individual and collective behavior, what courses of action and what outcome he will seek. This constitutes a professional ethic, the body of moral principles of values and governing a particular culture or group. The political component stipulates that a true professional must avoid politics and politicization in order to retain professionalism. The last one is the concept of responsiveness. Responsiveness as a concept refers to the specific ability of a system or functional unit to complete assigned tasks within a given time. According to Helmut von Moltke, the first task of strategic responsiveness is the final assembly of fighting force. Deploying them within the shortest time. He must further say that if the first task of deployment, the army must have the capability to execute it in a timely and orderly manner, the conduct of its mission. An effective initial deployment is vital to the army to meet its strategic requirement. Responsiveness is also seen as an attitude that spans the operational planning, preparation, execution, and assessment. It establishes the condition for a successful operational tactical maneuver at the onset of operation. Responsiveness is more than the ability to quickly deploy. It requires that the right army forces need to deter an adversary or take decisive action if deterrence fails, deploying at the right place at the right time. Responsiveness is also about agility, lethality, versatility, and sustenance. A look at the welfare schemes in the Nigerian Army. Militaries all over the world place welfare of its personnel as a top priority, and the Nigerian Army is not an exception. The Nigerian Army provides welfare services for its personnel. These are in the area of education, accommodation, medical services, promotion, sponsorship of deceased personnel, children or wives, death, burial expenses, among others. This welfare scheme will further be discussed in details, beginning with the medical services. Any organization whose workforce is medically unfit will have its productivity hindered. This could be highly pronounced in the Nigerian Army, where individuals have assigned roles that require a high degree of medical and physical fitness. There are two categories of health programs for service personnel. These are preventive and curative measures. Preventive care is concerned mainly with personal hygiene and prevention of epidemic outbreaks, while curative care, on the other hand, are the free medical services rendered to personnel and their families in the Nigerian Army hospitals. In order to provide adequate medical services to personnel, the Nigerian Army established medical centers at unit and formation level. These medical centers are staffed with qualified personnel to render services to personnel and their families. The provision of adequate medical services free of charge to Nigerian Army personnel motivates them to be professionally responsive in the discharge of their duty. Furthermore, the Nigerian Army also benefits from the National Health Insurance Scheme. A look at the National Health Insurance Scheme. The National Health Insurance Scheme is one of the schemes of the federal government of Nigeria that seek to provide quality health care to the citizen. The scheme covers personnel of the Nigerian Army like other government establishments. However, the laudable motive of the scheme did not cover the Nigerian Army in all areas of military hazards. It was observed that the scheme failed to include major hazards of military operation, such as gunshot wounds, injuries from training, sports, and other hazardous undertaking by military personnel. To this end, Nigerian Army has reached out to the authorities concerned for wider coverage of the scheme for the Nigerian Army personnel. Similarly, another problem associated with the scheme is that the Nigerian Army has not been receiving funds commensurate to its strength. This is because capitation is based on health facilities and not population. Accordingly, the Nigerian Army has requested for a review by the Defense Health Maintenance Limited, which was the HMO for the Nigerian, that's Health Maintenance Organization for the Army. Consequently, the DHML recently increased capitation to all healthcare provided with about 25%. Consequently, efforts are being intensified so that the new capitation will be judiciously utilized for adequate healthcare provision for the Nigerian Army. The Department of Army Administration coordinates the review of policy guidelines on the proper implementation of the NHIS capitation form provided by the DHML to all primary health providers in the Nigerian Army. The new policy guideline to ensure accountability, transparency, and judicial utilization of NHIS funds has been formulated through a committee set up by the UOA and the directive of the Chief of Army Staff. The committee report was also requesting for an amendment to the inclusion of ailment, diseases, and professional hazard injury wounds that normally affect personnel. A proposal subject to the approval of the Chief of Army Staff is being considered for the centralization of 30% of earned capitation fee by Nigerian Army medical facilities. This fund, which is proposed to be domiciled in a pool under the CAB, will be used for equipping at least not less than 2 medical facilities on quarterly basis. Let me explain what we are doing here. Now, we all know that we have not been getting the best of the capitation money that is being paid to Nigeria. Is that correct? Yes. Good. And it is because it has not been properly monitored. And we set up a board with my officers to look at how other services have been using their money. Our reason was this: if the Naval Hospital seems to be having everything, and their strength is not up to us, and the Air Force Hospital is doing better, and their strength is not up to us, what is wrong with us? And we came to the conclusion and we went to meet them. There is no problem in you asking questions. For God's sake, I don't feel big not to ask questions. And we got to know that what they are doing, rather than in fact, before even that time, nobody knows how much goes to a particular medical service. Until my DPS and I went out to DHML. And when we got it, we could not believe it. Even when we took it to the Chief of Army Staff, he could not believe it. And he said, I'm going to jail some people. I said, sir, let's start from somewhere first. And now what we did is the totality of what comes to the Nigerian Army in a month, all the hospitals and everything, if I'm to tell you the amount, it's a lot of money. We now said, okay, calculate what each hospital and each battalion is supposed to get. And then they should use 70% and return 30% to CAB. So after every quarter, we'll take that money and face one hospital. When we face one or two hospitals, we'll upgrade it. And the money that will be available in those 3-4 months is a lot of money. So if we do it for a year or 2 or 3, believe me, our hospital will go up to the level of first-class hospitals. The Chief of Army Staff has approved all this, and it has been they have not been paid May, June, July, and August capitation. But from May, that is when the whole program will start. And I can bet you see the difference. The committee is not all medical people. It is now having people from every other place, not even only my department. Medical, my department, CAB, and even one or two retired officers will be members of it. But I can assure you, what you are going to see from here on will be a different military hospital. Now let's go to medical evacuation. The nature of the military profession exposes personnel to various degrees of risk and hazards. In order to sustain and retain the commitment of our personnel, who often pay the supreme sacrifice in the line of duty, it is only proper to provide them with the best medical service available. Consequently, those whose level of illness cannot be treated locally are flown abroad for medical attention. However, the list of those to be medically evacuated has continued to increase, apparently because of the ongoing counterinsurgency and IS operation in the country. From July 2015 to date, a total of 72 officers and soldiers were made evac to India, Germany, and United Arab Emirates for various degrees of ailment. Similarly, as at this morning, we have 29 officers and soldiers that were made evac to Cedar Crest. It's a hospital of one of our retired officers here in Abuja. National Hospital, Abuja, and other teaching and specialist hospitals within the country. What I have mentioned is that personnel that are wounded in action and needed artificial limbs are given prosthetic limbs. These are part of them that you are seeing there. You can see that soldier thanking God that at least he can walk again. This is a very serious problem we went through. So that same soldier was the one who went to Channel and was saying that he was abandoned. That was the second set of prosthetic legs that were being given to them. The first one that was given to them, it was heavy. And we had to go out to India and got the best person who can give. Can you go to the next slide, please? Try the next one. The next slide. No, there's a leg, another finger and leg. Okay, maybe they are not there. If you see, you can't even differentiate which is the right leg or which one is the false leg. The Nigerian Army Medical Corps evaluate both serving and retired military personnel through medical board and forward its recommendation to the Department of Army Administration. The department subsequently prepared medical evacuation memo to Chief of Army Staff for his approval. I must say this, the Chief of Army Staff, since he came in, has never ever rejected anybody to go on medical evacuation, inasmuch as the procedure is followed. That means you must go through medical corps and from F-Med-19 field. We had cases where soldiers would go right and go to a particular hospital and say, I'm sick, and get paper. That is not the proper channel. The proper channel is to go, the hospital will refer you to medical corps. A medical corps will set up a board. The board is usually 3 doctors, not more than 3 doctors. And they sit down and look at the ailment. Can it be treated here or can it must go out? If it is what they can do here, they do it here. If it is something that has to go out, and again I must mention some of the attitude of our soldiers. I will not mention names. I have all their names on my head. A soldier that needed a hand, I was sent to, or he had an injury, I was sent to India to go for medevac, and after that he was to attend 15 physiotherapy. And the soldier decided not to. He was busy watching Indian film. And some of them even would go to the extent of looking for charadiya. I'm telling you this, it's not, we are all here, we should tell ourselves the truth. now report. And another bad group again will start telling the doctor there, you know, I'm an African man and I have juju. Give me, in fact, I want to stay here for the next 2 months. Write to them, let them pay you, and then send my extra code. These are the problems I am going through. These are the problems we are going through. And people will say, oh, Nigerian didn't care about them. Nigerian didn't. It's not everything that will come out to come and say. And the doctor will get afraid and send and write for him. Only for him to now send email to me that, look, I did this under duress. Because I didn't want him to use juju for me to die. These are the issue. And again, we have some of them that remain in 44. Now I said, discharge them. Once a doctor can certify they are okay, discharge them. When the chief of army staff came in his normal wisdom, which I'm sure now he's looking at it, and I said, sir, let us be careful with some of these things we're doing. He said, no, maybe we'll go ahead. He said, pay them their operational allowance while they are in hospital. Now, because they are in hospital, they are collecting that operational allowance and they are eating in the hospital. Some of them don't want to go back to their wives. They will discharge them when you tell them that, okay, you are okay, go away. You now say something again is coming up here. Oh, my back knows this. Those are the facts. I have no reason to come here to tell you people lies. So it is a big problem that we're facing. When, like those people that, if you see, Nigerian Army has started the second phase of the documentary. In one of the documentary, a same soldier who praised the army and telling him the army did everything for him, he's happy, he can work, he can do this, now went to channels to tell channels that the army abandoned him. When we got there, we just left him. Even Panadol he did not get. A soldier that they bought a bionic hand, you know what? For 64,000 euro, calculate how much that euro is, multiplied by the current rate. Tell me why one should not be annoyed. It's not as if we are insensitive to their plight. We appreciate what they have done. But if you that lost leg is complaining, then the man in the grave should do what? Nobody forced anybody to come and join the army. We all joined the army voluntarily. I'm just letting you know, so that when you hear complaints, it is not as if the army abandoned them. But because of their character, they believe there is one particular stupid soldier called Abu Sedi. He's there, I have told them, I say, charge him. If his offense will reach up to dismiss him. Because he became the person who, he would go and gobble and say, no, this is what Pistorius is using in South Africa. That is the kind of leg he wants. These are the kind of problems we are facing. That even the Indian who brought now are afraid. Because when they become so agitated. And the army should pay them. They should give them 20 million for each person's leg. If we pay 20 million for a leg, then how much are we going to pay for the man who is there? In order to enhance the medical welfare of personnel, 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital is undergoing a complete reconstruction to meet the level 4 UN standard and boost personnel responsiveness. The Chief of Army Staff has just given money out for total renovation and equipment of 44 hospitals. If you go there, you will think it's a construction site. For those of you that are in Kaduna, I challenge you to go there and see what is going on now in 44. Even now, we are moving the patient from one ward to another ward. On the 5th of next month, the second ward will be ready, and we'll move them so that we'll start working on the other one. And the major one that has been abandoned, all the equipment, he has paid for it. All the equipment. I mean all the equipment needed for that hospital. I need not to tell you how much it is, but it is hundreds of millions of naira. A look at education. In the Nigerian Army, there are two types of educational programs. The one aimed at improving the knowledge of the personnel, and the one aimed at assisting in the education of personnel, children, and wards. The Nigerian Army, in its effort to provide quality education for the personnel, children, and ward, established the Nigerian Military School Zaria, Command Secondary Schools, Command Children's Schools, and Command Nursery Schools, and subsidized on welfare ground to ameliorate the hardship faced by personnel in financing their children's education. Similarly, in order to make education affordable and enhanced, let me pick on this. Command Secondary School, last month, the Chief of Army Staff asked, I am the Chairman Board of Governors of all schools, NMS and Command. And he asked how much are soldiers, that he too is a member of PTA in Kaduna. He has 2 children there. And he came up and said, look, we are paying more than enough. And coupled with the fact that with the coming in of this new corps commander, we realized a lot of things have been swept under the carpet, that the carpet became bumpy, that there is no level ground. The man before, the corps commander before this man, left a debt of 551 million naira for this man. Books published were not paid for over 4 years. But we made them to pay. They paid to the last kobo. Wherever they got the money from is none of our business. And from there we now said, okay, we came up with a new policy. School fees before that was 67. I don't know how many of you have your children in command. If you have, raise up your hand. Good. Down. And we came up with another document on the 28th of July, which I'm sure was circulated everywhere. And we went further to even bring out what you will pay for. This is a list of everything you will pay for. If you are asked to pay for anything other than what is here, don't pay. I'm told there was a complaint yesterday. I was not around. I went out. I should have addressed that. But I got the information last night. What you, as a parent, to pay is, if you have the new intake that are coming in now is 31,400. If you have an existing student, is 18,900. The second and third term, that's for Command Secondary School boarding. I'm talking about boarding, don't go and misquote me. Second and third term still remain the same, 13,900 for second and third term. Command Day Secondary School is 29,000 for new intake, 400. Existing students, 16,900. And second and third term, each one is 11,900 for officers. Soldiers is a bit lesser, and for civilians is higher. But then, let us even put all that together. The problem is us. The problem is us. What do I mean by us? It is you that will go and collect somebody's child who is not your child and say it is the child of my brother, sister, uncle, sister. Whatever that relationship, I don't know. You are not shortchanging the army, you are shortchanging yourself. You are not shortchanging the army, you are shortchanging yourself. Not until we change our character and behavior and do the right thing. I said this yesterday and I'm repeating it again today. If you don't have a child there, no problem. If you have somebody who comes to meet you and say, let me, sorry, there is a standard operating procedure, I cannot do it. If they find out, they are going to deal with me. But it is you that will carry a civilian child to come as a soldier child. That buffer of money that we kept there for them to run the school, you are giving it to that civilian. And that becomes a problem. Similarly, in order to make education affordable and enhance the welfare of personnel, the Department Department of Administration, under the directive of Chief of Army, initiated a downward review of all command schools. Furthermore, the Chief of Army Staff has approved the establishment of Command Secondary School, Lafia, Nasarawa State. The Governor of Nasarawa State, Zamfara State, Katsina State, and Borno came up that they are seeing the quality of teachers we are having in command schools. And how come that they don't have command schools? And we said the Nigerian Army does not have budget to establish schools. Now, at least for now, our problem is much more than that. And they said they will build the school and hand it over to us. Just 2 weeks ago, we were in Laken. It was a beautiful school, built. At least we can start with JSS 1, with 120 students. 120 students that are going, 90 we are going to take them from Command Secondary School, Suleja. Because Command Secondary School, Suleja seems to be, for now, to be the most sorted school among the commands. The number that wrote the exams and passed and did the interview in Command School in Suleja is higher than any other command school. But their grades are good. So what did we do? We removed about 50 to go to Kaduna, if the parents want. 90 to go to Lafia. And the remaining ones will be the best of the best will remain in Suleja, because we can't take everything of them. And then from the 90 we are giving them in Lafia, the government will give them 30 and say, you give us 30 students, but give us the one that can compete with this 90. If they cannot compete with this 90 that bought form, wrote exam, did interview, they will fall by the wayside. I have been there twice. Yahama King has been there. And we believe that command schools, that school will take up second week of September by the grace of God. Efforts are being intensified to expand the command school to all the 36 states of the Federation. The provision of educational services to personnel and their children is aimed at reducing the financial burden of educating personnel and their children. This is because aspects of welfare services provided to the Nigerian Army personnel in order to boost their morale, increase their productivity, as well as ginger them to give in their best by being professionally responsible in the discharge of the duty in line with the Chief of Army Staff vision. It is necessary to point out also that the Nigerian Army personnel are fast losing the NMS, Nigerian Military Schools, to civilians. There are more civilian children and wards in NMS than serving soldiers. Efforts are being made to return NMS back to its old glory, where graduates are absorbed into the Nigerian Army. What am I trying to say here? We now came to realize in the last 3-4 years that there are more civilian NMS, nobody pays any problem. You come in, you do, and they have 99.9 pass in WAEC. But you and I are not sending our children. And those that have nothing to do with the army are the ones sending their children. This is a school that the CDS went to. This is the same school that the head of service, Babachir David, went to. This is the same school that the governor of Niger State went to. This is the same school that the deputy governor of Zamfara State went to. So what is our problem? And these people have come together to say, look, we want to put this school back. If you go there, you see massive renovation that is going on, and their laboratory that is going on, courtesy of the Chief of Army Staff and the CDS and the head of service. Take advantage of it. My own children are grown up. In fact, girls are not taking there, we are taking my girl there. The main reason for the stoppage, before now we stopped graduates of NMS in joining the army. And this was because the United Nations wrote that the Nigerian Army is training child soldiers. And because of that, it became a global issue. and they recorded, the pictures and everything. And because Nigeria is a signatory to that, we had to stop. Now, what have we done? We set up a committee, which my GPS is looking into it, and some other very, very intelligent people to look at it, to upgrade the age of entry into NMS. Before now, you see a child of 10 years who will remain like this and will never grow. So those are the kind of children that they see and give us trouble. But now look at a child that is between 11 and a half. So that by the time you will pass out from that school, you will be 18. And we can move him to the army. With that, we will create some other professionals, even in the army. But if we go and take 10 years, by the time you will pass out, you will be 16. So we can't even, and there are some of those children, even the last person that I went, there is a boy RSM. Yeah, I'm not sure it's more than this. So you can see that we are responsibly going into issues that affect you and I. The present management of the Nigerian Army is ready to increase the age limit of children into the school, and on graduation, they will be 18 and qualified to join the Nigerian Army. Now let's go to promotion soldiers. Promotion occupies the central place in the career of personnel. The Department of Administration is solely responsible for soldiers' promotion. The criteria for promotion of soldiers to the next higher rank are clearly spelled out in the Harmonized Terms and Conditions of Service Soldiers 2012, revised, and the Nigerian Army Administrative Policies and Procedure 2015 revised. That's this book I showed you. Though promotion to the next higher rank are seen as a privilege, the Chief of Army Staff, in a bid to boost the troops' morale and ensure personal responsiveness in the troops fighting insurgency in the Northeast, reduced the promotion criteria on years of rank for personnel in the Northeast from 4 years to 3 years. You will all agree with me. For those of you that came from Northeast, it has never been so before. Even last week, 4,688 people were promoted. Now so? Yes, sir. Huh? Yes, sir. But that does not stop the promotion for this year, 2016. Last year promotion, a total of 20,868 soldiers were promoted. 20,868 were promoted. Accommodation. Members of the armed forces are quartered in the barracks for peak mobilization in times of emergency, easy administration, regimentation, command and control, esprit de corps, among others. However, due to acute shortage of barrack accommodation, a lot of personnel are not accommodated, while those that are partially accommodated end up squatting. In a bid to enhance the welfare of troops, the Chief of Army Staff has embarked on massive renovation and building of more structures to accommodate troops and their families. I'm sure, I don't know which barrack that has not been touched so far. Those in Wadi, in Kotoko barrack, a lot of work has been done there. Is that correct? Is that correct? You seem not to be answering, or nobody from Wadi. 2 deep, the same thing. 3 deep, the same thing. Maiduguri, is that not so? Yes, correct. Bama barrack is being renovated now, and there is no barrack that is not being touched. In fact, even Kachia, he has a lot of plans for Kachia. Not only Kachia, all the resettlement centers in Nigeria. We are going to recover all the resettlement centers back and go back to what the resettlement centers were in the Now let's go to discharge soldiers. The Department of Army Administration is responsible for the discharge of soldiers in the Nigerian Army. Discharge on voluntary ground is carried out twice in a year. We realize, in fact, let me explain, there are 3 types of discharge. Voluntary discharge, medical discharge, and time-bound discharge. Voluntary discharge is somebody who has shown that he is not interested in the work and he wants to go. And I'll tell you one story. Apart from that, there are those that are from royal homes that their community will call them and say, come, you are the next in line. Your father is late and you have to be king or chief. I will say, go and write. Once you write, allow us to do the processing. You can go. I will give you paper to go. Then there are those who have medical issues. Somebody who is having and cannot perform the role. Why do you want to keep him there? And he must attend tattoo. He must attend. Are you not adding more to his problem? Then there are those who are time bound. Before now, many of our soldiers remain for as long as they want to remain. And we look at it that the Nigerian Army is spending so much money in burial. Using the money to even take care of the families of the deceased. And by the time you check that person, he has served 36, 37 years. So under what law are you going to help him? If we want to do things, let's do it according to the books. Books are not made for, man are not made for books, books are made for man. We have to follow it, and that was how we got it wrong in so many other things. And that was what motivated the review of this book. The last one was written in 2005, which we were using. And we saw that what was contained in that book can no more stand the test of time. Take, for instance, burial of anyone, burial in the old book. He said, give 50,000 coffin infantry, 50,000 naira for coffin in the course that is not available, and 150,000 naira for entertainment. They say officers only. So what happened to the soldier? And we had a major general retired that died. And when his family came and they were asking, which role are the Nigerian Army going to play in this one? They said, well, in fact, the person who came happens to be a major general retired. So I brought out the book and showed him. He said, is this all? I said, yes, sir. He said, Kai. The family is expecting so much. I said, well, I cannot do more than what the book says. And that thing made me to write to the chief that everything contained in this book is not meeting the reality of life. I will set up a committee. Within 2 weeks, they submitted their report. And with that, we now brought out everything. Let me not digress from the issue of discharge. Other types of discharge are medical discharge, on disciplinary ground, and discharge on ROD, run-out date. All soldiers due for discharge are given at least not less than 6 months notice. What we started doing now is, I'm sure everybody here knows when he will go.
Yes, sir.
You may not know the exact date, but you know those that are before you.
Yes, sir.
And if 11th regular recruit intake that are in Nafrik today leave, the next one is what? After that it will be what?
13.
Good. 12, 13, 14 are going next year. I can give you a date if you don't even know. Offhand. 15 are going on the 6th of January 2018. So let them not go to sleep and say 2018. The difference between them is just 6 days from 2017 and 2018. So everybody must prepare. And this, to me, has given us the chance to really prepare. Before now, many people I don't know when I will leave. So because of that, you do not plan. You don't have anything on the ground to show. And that is why all those Sokakahuta villages are growing. All those Jabubasa is becoming a town. And so many. Documentation of discharged soldiers and documentation of deceased soldiers are being concluded within 30 days in units and formation. What brought this is 2014, we sat in my office, 2014 or 2015, and we came up with, why will an officer retire or you give him a paper today and he will have to go to Lokoja first, from Lokoja, he will come to MS, maybe he collects his letter from his unit. Let us even assume that the officer is serving in Sokoto. He collects his letter in Sokoto. He goes to Lokoja to go and process his paper. And then from Lokoja will give him one envelope to take to Apo in Lagos. He goes to Lagos again, they give him one letter to bring to Military Pension Board. Military Pension Board decide to take his biometric and give him a letter to go to MS. INT. From INT again, they give him a letter to say, okay, go to collect your certificate in MS. It's not clumsy. And we sat down with my officers that day and said, we have to get a solution to this. I remember very well, when we sat, all of them said, this thing is not going to be visible. Let us maintain what we are. And we called all the record officers from all the districts. They came, we sat down. And I sat on top of the table. I said, gentlemen, we are going on break. There is only one thing I want to hear from all of you, that it must work. How it will work, I have it in my bed. I'm not going to impose it on all of you. So come back. So I was one against everybody. So when we came back from, I said, we are not going to leave here today until we get it done. So I started having people to join me. And Oga, we can do it this way. I said, okay, gentlemen, this is the plan. Okay, let's try it for 90 days. If it didn't work, we'll go back to where we were before. And based on that, it worked. So no officer today in the Nigerian Army that is retired, all he needs to do is for MS to send that letter to the Department of Admin. My DPS, even before I say it, my DPS has already scanned it to Lokoja. Lokoja will work on it, don't even waste time. From 199A, it will come in less than 10 days or 2 weeks. Maximum, it won't even reach there. And once it comes, send it to, thank God, CAB is here. Send it to former CAB. I started it with you. Send it to him, he sent it to, in fact, the last person that worked on that, who was in Abuja, was late Ifon. You remember? And when it worked for officers, when I said, okay, let's take it to the next level. Ah, sir, the number is much. Look, nothing is impossible. And we worked. We tried it. There are two categories of soldiers that are going to go. Those that will go through Oshodi and those that will not go through Oshodi. Those that will go through Oshodi, we don't even have much work. Just as soon as they are there, call Unorum that is there, send us the nominal roll. Unorum, let all of them sign their, fill their Form 90. Don't even bring it to me, take it to Lokoja direct. Lokoja will do all their work and send it to us. And from us, it will go to finance. Finance, in fact, even finance will stop, we'll call Ozigi and Shoke. Because we realized that the first one we sent to them took 2 months to remain with them. So I said, okay, I know what to do. We will not give you DTA for 2 days. Tell you to come to Abuja to come and do it. He will come with his team and get some finance people from it. And in 7 hours, they will finish the work. So because they want to save the DTA of the second day. No, it's true. But if we are sending it to them in their office, it will take 2 months. So it makes work easy. And If we don't open up to tell you people all this, nobody will really understand. I mean, nobody now that is living, by the time we give you that 3 months, we'll give you 3 months salary in lieu, isn't it? Let's move on. The department has been able to streamline the process of discharge of soldiers, and as a result, now discharge as per their regular recruit intake. This year, 8, 9, 10, and 11 regular recruits are discharging in 2016, while 12, 13, and 14 will be due for discharge in 2017. Similarly, 15, 16, 17, and 18 will be due for discharge in 2018. This process has helped to streamline soldiers' discharge and ensure prompt payment of retirees' entitlement. The streamlined and simplified discharge will encourage soldiers to put in their best, as well as ensure that they are professionally responsive in their assigned task. All that we have said is for the living. Now let's go to the dead. In the case of death, the first payment is Nawis and Benford. Why is everybody keeping quiet? Is there anybody that inherit not dying? No. All of us will go when the time comes. I will leave that matter. The Nigerian Army Welfare Insurance Scheme was established in the Nigerian Army to minimize the hardship of retirement, discharge, permanent disability, or even death to personnel. The Nawis provide life insurance cover for their personnel who ordinarily might have found it difficult to be insured by the private insurance company. The Nawis solely depend on the premium deducted at source from the soldiers of all the Nigerian Army, interest and dividend from investment. In the past, beneficiaries of Nawis wait for a long period of time to collect their entitlement, but in the last 1 year, the department has come up with a policy which makes it possible for the management of Nawis to pay the beneficiary their money directly into their account within 2 weeks. But this 2 weeks has a caveat. If you don't submit death certificate and you don't submit noticas, they will not be able to do it. Some people will say they are grieving, they go to sleep. So if it is not paid, just know that that person has not submitted noticas and he has not submitted that death certificate. Benevolent Fund was established in 1983 as a welfare scheme. The Ben Fund concerned immediate monetary relief given to the deceased personnel dependent before the payment of gratuity of the deceased personnel, and alleviate the immediate financial problem of such dependent whose relation died in active service. Ben Fund is also paid directly into the account of personnel on retirement, while NOK of deceased personnel are paid Ben Fund directly into their account by headquarters Nawis. What we do is Nawis and Ben Fund are paid together. The management of Nawis are more proactive now than they have ever been. And they make more investment and gain now than what it used to be. So you can see a lot is happening. Next is burial expenses. Burial expenses are paid to the next of kin of deceased officers and soldiers. The burial expenses are meant to provide immediate financial support to the deceased personnel family. However, the payment of burial expenses in the past has been faced with some challenges, which can be attributed to inadequate record of personnel's NOK. We all know that we all have 2 NOKs. But some people will go and put their fathers as NOK. and the father might have died 10 years ago. And the second NOK, he will not have anything. Or somebody will go and put the name of his wife that he has divorced. So, a big problem here. And nobody can just change your NOK for you. And the issue of NOK, let me even take it off. We put it in the focus of event for the year. I'm sure you all saw the letter we wrote last.
Yes, sir.
That every August, all of us must check. You must check your NOK. So that if you want to change. If you are not changing, write that it is the same person. But of course we realize that some people, their NOK are not even with them again. But if we don't remind you every year, and that's why we came up with this Nigerian Army Form B56. Gentlemen, this thing is it may look small, but it is very, 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 very important. The administration of NOK is the most difficult thing you can do. The department, in the bid to address these challenges, designed a form where personnel are required to regularly update their records. And the department has also made it mandatory that in August of every year, units and formation will be required to conduct annual update of NOK records. This will ensure ease of NOK administration and facilitate quick payment of NOK's entitlement. The efforts so far have helped to ensure that any soldier who dies on active service gets his burial expenses within a month. Nigerian Army troops are now rest assured that in the event of any unfortunate occurrence in the line of duty, that their NOK will be properly administered and pay their entitlement promptly. This will further motivate troops to professionally responsive in the discharge of their assigned responsibility. Please, let's take this issue of NOK very serious. Very, very, very serious. First and second NOK are important. If the first NOK is late, please the second NOK automatically takes over. Maybe during the discussion, we'll talk about some of the challenges. Now, National Housing Fund's contribution. The National Housing Fund is a loan facility scheme for all civil and public servants to either build a house, purchase a parcel of land, or purchase a house anywhere in the country for residential use. All officers and soldiers who are pensionable and still have 3 more years to serve before retirement are eligible for the scheme. All Nigerians, including Nigerian Army personnel, earn an income of 7,500 and above per annum in both public and private sectors of the country are to contribute 2.5% of their basic monthly salary to the fund. Personnel are strongly encouraged to venture into this scheme, as this will help to ensure that personnel on retirement own a befitting house. The scheme enables Nigerian Army personnel to access funds for the purpose of building houses or purchasing land or house. Personnel contributions are also refunded. This is so 2.5% of your salary is being deducted at source. But I know that many of us are loan shy. We don't want to collect loan because that money that is coming monthly, you have accounted for it. This one goes for this one goes for that. You don't want anything. But if you don't collect loan, how would you be able to do some things? And if you did not collect any loan and you are not owing on debt and on discharge, every contribution that you have with the interest is being paid back to you. Maybe the finance man, the big man in the financial will explain further on that. Now let's look at gratuity, and death benefit. The payment of gratuity and death benefit is covered by the Armed Forces Pension Act. The actual payment is the responsibility of Military Pension Board. All personnel who put in up to 15 years of service are eligible for pension and gratuity. Gratuity is also paid to personnel representative or NOKs when service personnel is killed in the line of duty. For those that are discharged, I am not very conversant with how the calculation is made. But for the deceased, I can conveniently tell you how the money is calculated. The last salary of the deceased person is paid multiplied by 12, multiplied by 5 years. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The last monthly salary will be calculated by 12, that is 1 year by 5 years. And that is the cumulative that it is paid to the family by the Military Pension Board. But for the living, because you are still in service and you'll be collecting pension, your own is different. That calculation requires some 200% or 300%. If we go into that arithmetic, we'll not go come up from here. So let's leave that one. Huh? Yeah, there's a table. And for those who have disability and everything, it's calculated. It's not cumbersome. It's a straightforward thing that requires a lot of calculation. I'm telling you this so that you will understand when an NOK said, I have gone to collect but then, the challenge I have here is when some of them, because the Chief of Army Staff, when he came in, he said, any soldier that was missing in action or killed in action, we must continue paying the family. And what we did was to now send message to finance, through our office, that continue paying this person. But you will now see that the check, the gratuity will be ready in Military Pension Board. But the woman will refuse to go and collect it. And when a check has a lifespan, it has a lifespan. When the check lies down in a place for up to 6 months, it becomes stale. And the procedure of revalidating that check is longer than issuing the check. So because of that, one would just say, so number of checks and names are ready. What we do is send us the name, we'll send it to finance, stop the salary. The person will complain. When the person complains, we'll now check and say, okay, go and collect this one. And the person will now come back and say, but that last month they did not pay me. Can you see my predicament? The debt gratuity payable to NOK or the deceased personnel depends on whether or not the deceased personnel has completed the minimum period of qualifying for pension before his death. The challenges faced in the payment of gratuity in the past have been addressed, and payment of gratuity is completed within 90 days at least, if all documents are complete. Like now, even this morning before I came here, I went to the office. I saw some from 9B of 9 regular recruit intake, which they sent to them. Some of them will fill the from 9B, but they will not sign. And you don't expect CAR to work on form that is not signed. So that tomorrow you come and say, don't be me, or don't be me send them, that somebody send them. Or you are supposed to put 6 pictures, you go and put 2. How is it going to be? Or they say snap with picture in front, you go and carry the one you wear Barbariga and put there. So how do I know you are a soldier? Those are the kind of challenges that we have. Let's go to the next one, which is the coerced token for families of the deceased. Like I mentioned earlier, before now, we looked at what is being given to serving and retired officers and soldiers. I must commend Signal for one thing, that That is the only call that I know that monthly, if even it is only 2 soldiers that died, they will send it and say, these 2 soldiers died, this is their unit, they will require so amount, and it is done. But all other calls, I'm not going to do, it's your entitlement whether you like it or not, ask for it. If you don't ask, the money no they come my hand. The Bible says, ask and you shall be given. Don't you so?
Yes,
Seek and you will get. So, if you don't seek, how will you get? Personnel who have paid the supreme sacrifice in the service of the nation are given befitting burial. Other burial assistance rendered to the deceased serving and retired is the choir's financial token given to assist personnel who died on active service. The choir's reviewed upward the token payable to personnel as per rank. I'm sure you can put it on the slide, please. Let me not go through payment. I'm reading it. Now the big story here, group life assurance, which has been the major issue. Group life assurance. Group life assurance covers the insurance against death, accident, and medical disability, and is renewable annually. Let me explain this before I read whatever I read. Group life assurance came in 2010, and it was backdated to 2004. And 2000, those who died between 2004 and 2007 were considered as uninsured, because there was a time the army found out that the rate of death in operations and this was becoming too much, and what they take home for the family was not enough. So they decided to insure all of us. Started with Zenith, but now it is with Capital Insurance. Now, it is not administered by the Army. It's being administered by the Ministry of Defense, coordinated by the Defense Headquarters. So it entails the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. So the group life assurance as it is the assurance of all of us. Now they calculated it by percentage. So anybody that died from 2010 down are insured. 2009 up to 2004 were uninsured. I'm talking of those who died though. Because let somebody not think I joined the army in 19. No. So, and based on that, there are proratal payments according to the rank. I don't know how it is calculated, but I must emphatically say this, because you are likely to ask me a question that you know of somebody who has not been paid. In 2013, from January 1 to December 31st, not one person was paid because there was a problem in Ministry of Defense. We are still working on that. We have not been able to resolve that. It is not Army problem, it is not DHQ problem, but it is Ministry of Defense problem. This scheme is coordinated by the Ministry of Defense through the Defense Headquarters, who had appointed a Standard Life Assurance and Leverage Insurance Broker Company as underwriters and brokers respectively for personnel who died before November 2004. However, the Capital Express Insurance and Prime Trust Insurance Broker are appointed as the underwriters for the brokers in the scheme of personnel who died between 2014 to date. You can now see the reason why we have problem with 2013. The company that was handling it, they drove the company, but things have not been sorted out. But from 2014 down, we've not been having any problem. And that's why you see most times, maybe they show it on TV that we're issuing check. The checks come in trickles. But then, even with that, we have problems. What are the problems? The problems are that, like I mentioned, if somebody is serving in Sokoto and he's from Cross River, the breadwinner dies. The family has relocated back to Cross River. You send signal to Sokoto, how will they get back to that person? it takes time. So what we said in the noticas now, write the name of the NOK, put the address of the NOK, and put the telephone number of the NOK. Now, on our own, we have a data bank. I can sit down here, call Sergeant Ado in my office. I want the total number of those who died from 2014 to today, and you give me their names, the date of death, the place of death, their NOK, the telephone number, and the address. So, on that, what we do, once the checks are ready, because all the checks are not going to come at once. Maybe 50 checks will come, maybe 20 checks will come. What we now do is, we still send signal to that unit. But at the same time, we send text, bulk SMS, to those 50 people. Come on so date. As I speak with you, if you go to command mess annex, you will see people there. They are doing verification. Not for GLA, but for the school fees for next year. Because if you don't come for verification, how will I know that your child is still alive or the child is in school? When we get there, we'll talk about what we'll do next one. So, you can see that a lot is being done. It is not as if the army abandoned somebody after death. This GLA, when we now send text to you, you come on the appointed date. Once you come, we verify you are the one because you have to give us a copy of that noticas. You have to give us a letter of introduction from that unit. That in the unit Bible, you are the NOK. And a copy of that noticas that you forwarded, the same thing, photocopy. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And then a document from the deceased person, whether it is his ID, photocopy of his ID card or anything, just to show that he's the person. And based on that, while we are taking picture, is out of experience. Some people, you will give them the check, sign here, they sign and go. And come back and say, I'm not collecting anything. But now you will pose, I will pose, you will collect, we'll take the picture. So that when another person comes and say, you know this person, now you collect it. It is not that we want, you see, you must put checks in place. The group life assurance scheme is categorized into two parts, which I have explained. The uninsured, which is cover personnel who died between 2004 and 2010, and insured those who died between 2010 and up to date. The DOA has successfully coordinated the processing and payment of some beneficiaries of group life assurance cover, check to deceased personnel. A total of 411 any deceased officers and soldiers have been paid at least within this year. In 2016, checks amounted to 1,262,529,591 naira has so far been released to beneficiaries of insurance, the group life assurance. Now, to the sponsorship of children of deceased Nigerian Army personnel. The Department of Administration processes the educational scholarship for children of deceased NA personnel in accordance with the Nigerian Army admin policy and harmonized terms and conditions of service 2012 revised. The Nigerian Army has continued to sponsor the children of deceased personnel who died on active service. The Nigerian Army policy guidelines with regards to the sponsorship stipulate that 4 biological children of any such affected personnel will be sponsored in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions in the country under the scheme. The payment of the sponsorship fee for the year 2015-2016 academic session took place between June and August this year. While the screening exercise for 2016-2017, as I mentioned to you, is ongoing. Additionally, the school fees were recently reviewed upward based on the exigency of the moment and the interest placed on the welfare of personnel and the award by the Chief of Army Staff. It is, however, pertinent to note that despite all these measures taken to ensure only those who are qualified benefit, some beneficiaries are cashing in on the increment to present fake admission letters and results from universities. Is it surprising you? You will see some children, they will bring and say they are in so university. Look, this program, this scheme has a procedure. Good. That is the verification there. You can see Tawasimi, I think that's Tawasimi, one of my officers, documenting the madam there. You will come with all the admission letter and the last result of that child. Because we found out that some of the children were not in school. We found out that some of the children will even die, but they will continue collecting the money. So what we do is that when they are on holiday, we want to see the children. When they are in school, you come and collect the check. And now we don't even pay check, we pay it into their account directly, so that for good accountability. What we found out is that somebody will come and say, I have 3 children, and they are all in university, and you will present admission letter for those 3 children. And or something just said, okay, let us just do something. We wrote to all those universities. And when the results started coming, you see, Adamu Baba Abubakar, matric number so is a bona fide student of this school. Good news, no problem. Adamu Baba Abubakar, matric number so. We have even changed the name to read Baba Adamu Abubakar. Adamu Baba Abubakar. Baba Adamu Abubakar is not a bona fide, we could not trace anything about that child. Or the matric number produced is not of this school. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
That is one group, I'm telling you. Then there are another group that their wives gave birth to even after they died, not 9 months after. That they will present children that were not registered before. Because they say 4 biological children, then you will not see children. The man died maybe 4 years ago, but you are coming to register a child that is just going to primary school, and that child is just about 2.5 years. So was that thing done in the cemetery? So we need to ask. And that is not all. Again, we have those that came up, their children. They had those children before joining the army. Assuming somebody who died is 2012 NA. His first child was born 2003. The second one 2005. The third one 2008. Can that child now be taken care of by the Nigerian army? No, answer me now.
No, sir.
But that child is not a product of the Nigerian army. And again, I must mention this. No one child benefits in 2 places. Let me explain what I mean by that. If a soldier girl is married to a soldier man, huh?
Yes,
Good. Are you following me?
yes, sir.
Good. And the soldier man died, she is entitled to the school fees for that child. But if it is the soldier girl that died, that man is not entitled to that school fees because he's the breadwinner. We had a case where the child died, the parent of the child died. Meanwhile, that child was on the scholarship before. The father scholarship before. And then the mother came, she too died, and they came and filed in the district. For God's sake, how do we pay school fees 2 times for one person? Equity, justice, and fair play does not come to play here. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So, and they came up and said, no, we are not being fair. I said, no, I don't think there is anything more fairness than this. So those are the issues that we are facing. The Department of Administration continuously verifies such claims through the internet. We write directly to the Vice Chancellor. We cannot do for secondary schools because there are so many mushroom secondary schools. And there are so many over mushroom primary schools. But we concentrate solely on the tertiary institution and university. And because that is where even the bulk money is. Bulk money is, I'll tell you how much we spent in the last 2 years. And it has paid off. Now that they know that we do this, and once we just get you, we'll just tell you, oh yeah, Mama, this is your picking this school, right? Okay. Can you read? You say, no, I cannot read. Okay. We'll give that letter from that school to that child to read to his mother. And it has helped some parents to know that some children are not even in school, but they are claiming they are in school. And if a child fails a class, you are out of that scheme. The scheme does not encourage that you should be failing and come out because the money is meant for so many. And if you are more than 18 years, you cannot benefit. If you are more than 18 years and you have not entered university, you cannot benefit. Please give me the details of the payment from primary school to university. Primary school, that's the amount. Secondary school, that's the amount. The difference is in science, art and social sciences, we pay 300. University, that's sciences, we pay 400. Medicine, we pay 450. I can boastfully say here that I know of a late staff sergeant who has 4 children reading medicine. That is the highest paid woman. And I'm always very proud to see that woman. A total of 2,486 children of deceased personnel have been sponsored in the NA school across the country for the year 2014-2015. While for the year 2015-2016, the NA has sponsored 3,856. The amount spent for 2014-2015 was 321,100,000. For 2015-2016, 490,650,000. I'm taking time to explain all this. And you can come to the department and verify everything that I have said today. A look at the admin inspection. The annual admin inspection is a yearly event aimed at providing commanders with detailed information on the combat readiness of formations and units in the Nigerian Army, with a view to assessing their fitness to carry out their assignment. The annual admin inspection also enables commander to resolve any deficiency observed during the inspection. However, due to the ongoing counter-insurgency operation, most Nigerian Army units have not conducted this exercise for some years. This has resulted in low level of preparedness and fighting spirit of such units. In order to ensure professional responsiveness in personnel, the AHQ Department of Army Administration has revived the conduct of pre-annual inspection and the annual inspection proper itself. The annual inspection team will avail the Army headquarters the opportunity of assessing the combat effectiveness of units and formation, thereby ensuring that units and formation are adequately ready in line with the required vision. What am I trying to say is for you to prepare. From next week, we'll be in all units. There are teams already cut out for that. They will go so that when your unit is not doing well, we'll remove you as RSMS. All of you are friends. Let's now look at the impact of welfare schemes on military professionalism, starting with training. One of the impact of welfare schemes on professional responsiveness in the Nigerian Army could be felt more in the area of training. It is worthy to note that the efficiency and battle readiness of any military to a large extent depend on the quality of training imparted on its personnel. Training is the bedrock of the military professional. Training instills discipline, provides the opportunity to learn modern military skills and equipment, and also increase job satisfaction. Consequently, the overriding purpose of training is to develop the professional effectiveness of the Nigerian Army personnel. When personnel are not encouraged to attend courses through enhanced welfare schemes, such as course allowances, it will impact negatively on professional responsiveness. Sound and adequate training of both officers and soldiers is absolutely necessary for better performance and development of individual and group. However, at this stage of development of the Nigerian Army, it is worthy to note that no magic wand has yet been found for effective performance of its constitutional role, other than excellent training and acquisition of vital military skills. It is therefore necessary for the Nigerian Army to train, to teach, and to guide our officers and soldiers with a view to increase our professional responsiveness. The ability to train and continuously, therefore, is a fundamental requirement of a modern army. This will enhance professional responsiveness of Nigerian Army personnel in the discharge of their duties. Morale. Morale is a broad term which deals with conditions and processes that account for motivation, direction, and magnitude and maintenance of effort in a person's job. Morale sustains and regulates desirable behavior. Fighting and other military operations on land are fundamentally a group activity. The responsiveness of the team depends on every individual playing their part to the full and contributing to the cohesion of the whole. Success in such conditions depends above all good morale. Morale is composed of many factors, including confidence in equipment, good training, and sound administration. Conversely, lack of morale leads to negative behavioral tendencies, such as increased tension, sadness, boredom, disciplinary problem, and poor performance. Thus, professional competence and high productivities are product of high morale. The provision of good welfare scheme by the Nigerian Army impact positively on professional responsiveness of troops in the execution of their responsibilities. Motivation. Motivation is what makes people to act and behave the way they do. It is also the action required to increase the effectiveness, contribution of members of an organization to achieve its goal and objective. In the military, incentive given to encourage dedicated service delivery to peak performance can be referred to as motivational factors. In the Nigerian Army, motivation can be viewed from two perspectives, which I have already mentioned. Let's go to a way forward. It is necessary, therefore, after discussing the various welfare schemes in the Nigerian Army, to attempt to provide suggestions on the way forward for personnel welfare for professional responsibility. This is to ensure that the Nigerian Army welfare scheme impact positively on professionalism. First is the welfare measure taken to motivate personnel to enhance professionalism while still in service. Secondly, the provision made by the government to enable retired personnel live a fairly comfortable life. The welfare policies need to be reviewed regularly in line with the socio-economic realities of our time. Similarly, Army headquarters should impress on the government to ensure that ailments such as gunshot wounds, injuries, and from training and other adhesions undertaken by personnel are covered and included in the National Insurance Scheme. Efforts should be made to facilitate the complete construction of 44, like I told you, all that is going on. We have also made sure that issues of accommodation for the remaining part of the barracks will be included in 2017 budget. and every other thing we have ensured that all that is needed to move this Nigerian Army forward will be included in 2017 budget. Spare me the problem of reading the conclusion. I want to thank you all for listening to me and thank you for your attention.